Welcome to our time in Bimini, Bahamas. We were excited to visit here as this was a new port for us, and I have only normally seen Virgin Voyages stop here. Plus, everybody seems to love it, and there were a lot of positive reviews on the beauty of the island. So, to have the ability to stop here on Celebrity, I was really happy and really excited. This was our last port stop before returning back to port, so we didn't really have any excursions. We wanted to kind of take it easy. Plus, a lot of the excursions involved the beach club or some sort of snorkeling option at the beach club, and we just wanted to take this time to soak in the island itself, see some of the pure culture, and just enjoy ourselves on our last port day. We had some really nice weather with some overcast clouds, but there was no rain and the heat was pretty bearable, even for Matt. Now, Bimini is known for its stunning beaches, its clear turquoise waters, and abundance of marine life, making it a paradise for beach lovers and water sports enthusiasts. Beaches I love, but Matt isn't the biggest fan of the sand and the sun, so we were just trying to attempt to explore the island for our first time here. You'll see that there was a little tram that took you to the end of the pier, and then at the end of the pier there's also going to be another tram that will take you to a few stops on the island, most notably Fisherman's Village and the Resort World Beach Club. It's also something to note that part of the World Resorts property, there is a casino located on the island as well that we did pass. Now, the island is the westernmost district of the Bahamas and comprises of a chain of islands located about 50 miles east of Miami, Florida. So this island is pretty close to the actual shores of the east coast of the United States. I have seen people take their own boats to the island of Bimini, as long as you have a passport and you can clear customs. And at the end of this pier, when we were coming back, there was actually a high-speed ferry that almost kind of looked like a souped-up mega yacht. So there's actually a ferry that will take you from Fort Lauderdale to Bimini, Bahamas, and Bimini, Bahamas, and back. So when we did get back to Fort Lauderdale, that ferry was actually there in port with us. So that's also another option since the island is so close to us. Now, the island itself, as you'll see, is pretty small and underdeveloped. It is only actually 7 miles long, and you'll see when we get on our tram here and start riding through the main strip that there are not a lot of cars. Although there were taxis, but you'll see that there's going to be mostly golf carts or utility vehicles that are used among the property, which I feel like we were pretty much restricted to like the Hilton's Resorts World property, and it felt very kind of encapsulated and enclosed, but it was still a very beautiful property to ride along with nonetheless. I did forget to mention this tram here is actually free, so there is actually no charge. So as long as you get there, you can jump on the shuttle for free and it'll take you to a few of the stops along the way.
Going to Bimini. Wasn't it?
As you see here at the end of the pier, there is a little beach area. I do not believe that it is free. There is probably a small fee to get a chair here. However, there was a little bit of distinct smell around this area, so although it was pretty convenient, just take that into consideration. Now, the island does have a lot of picturesque beaches, and the water was absolutely beautiful turquoise color. So I did enjoy all of the surroundings and the beauty that the Bimini had to offer. Now, as you see, the shuttle will take us a little bit around the actual island. It is something to note that because we were sailing with Celebrity, one of the main attractions is that beach club. It's important to note that that beach club did have a fee, but if you were cruising with Virgin Voyages, I believe they have an agreement. So with Virgin Voyages, it's included, but with our cruise, it was not. So that's something to take into consideration. We'll be passing the Fisherman's Village here on the right-hand side. That is one of the 2 stops that the tram did make. So we did end up coming back here, and you'll see that there are a ton of golf carts for rent, which I have a little bit of a funny story when we do get to the Fisherman's Village. Now the tram ride did have some great views and some pretty nice houses and water views along the way. It did have a very nice breeze and some good 2000s music if you did not hear that before, so it was quite enjoyable. Although we did see some people opt to hoof it along the way to either Fisherman's Village or the casino or hotel that you'll see here that we're actually passing by right now. It did seem like I said earlier that we felt like we were on the resort property, or the island was almost like built around that hotel and resort. So just something to kind of keep into mind. And there's all the UTVs and golf carts along the way. So the tram will typically go to the beach club because that is typically going to be one of the bigger stops that a lot of people will get off at. That beach club, as mentioned before, because we were sailing with Celebrity and not Virgin Voyages, it does have an admission fee. The lunch is not free, so you do have to pay for your drinks and your food. Although with Virgin, I don't believe the drinks are free either. But the beach club does have a very sizable pool as well as beach access. So a lot of people do enjoy that. But in all honesty, from the cruise, as we were talking to some people when we got back onto the ship and later that night, a lot of people were quite disappointed with that experience, but I feel like if you cruise with Virgin Voyages, you're going to get a different vibe and a different experience. So that's just something to keep in mind. And I feel like if we were cruising Virgin, we may have enjoyed ourselves a little bit more just because they tend to make that beach club a little bit more of a central piece and a lot of different parties and activities, and more stuff was going to be included with Virgin Voyages. These were the houses that we were passing that I said were quite nice. I feel like they were part of the people that work at the resort, just because when we did get outside of the resort and actually get to some of the heart of the island, the houses were not typically like that. They were more typical of what you may think of when you think of a tropical Bahamian island. They were not very luxurious. They were very modest, very simple. So there was quite a shock of difference between this section of the island and then the other part that we ended up actually going to. And here you see we are pulling up to the beach club, and they're going to let some people get off and then head back to Fisherman Village.
Let's jump up. The fire. Let's go jump in there. Yeah.
It's actually not too bad out here. I mean, if it was like this everywhere we went, I'd be okay. Really not much to this place.
as you can see, we did get off the tram to walk around Fisherman Village and wander the little area for a little bit just to see what there was and if there was anything of interest. Every port stop we go to, we tend to collect magnets, so we were trying to keep an eye out for any unique magnets that kind of we drew ourselves to. At this time, though, there were not a lot of stores that were open. I don't know if it was just too early or if that was just the typical thing here in this little village. But you will find here some places for souvenirs and even some restaurants or cafes to grab a bite of food or just have a little drink. And there was actually a gazebo too that there was some live music or even like DJ playing. So after we walked around here for a bit, we ended up going back to the tram spot to assess our options. We were kind of feeling a little bit like deflated. We wanted to kind of see more of the island, kind of walk around, experience things. We've been to a lot of islands and we love just soaking in the culture and finding little surprises along the way. As mentioned earlier, there were a ton of golf carts to rent. So that spot there would be where you would go to rent a golf cart. You can always pre-arrange that. Some people pre-booked that golf cart, but there was also options to rent on the spot. It's important to note that a lot of golf carts did look pretty rough. I was kind of leery about some of them in the shape that they were in, and then with the price that they wanted to charge us, they were charging us about $100 or more in cash to rent for the day. And Matt and I really didn't want to spend the whole day because there's 7 miles, you can only kind of see so much, and we start to get the general vibe that it's not a very developed island, so it would just be mostly just driving 7 miles there, 7 miles back, kind of maybe stopping along the way to see some spots that we may discover. Now, we did negotiate down to $80, but I did not have that much cash on me. And the guy even offered to take us to the casino, which had an ATM, to get the extra cash, which we kindly declined. But we did end up grabbing a taxi and made a little arrangement with the taxi driver and the other 2 folks that were in the taxi to drop us off at a little straw market. And we had maybe about an hour and a half or so to walk around. And up the road, or kind of on the other side of the straw market, I'll say, was also a little beachfront area where I got to soak in a lot of the water. Although I did wear my bathing suit, I did not get into the water, but we did stop to have a drink. I tried a local beer, and Matt did get a drink in a coconut. So it was quite nice, and probably one of the highlights of just wandering around the actual island. I will say that the taxi round trip for the 2 of us was about $20, so it wasn't too horrible. And we did get our souvenirs at that little straw market. There was about a handful of, self-owned spots, and we were able to pick up some quite unique gifts. We did get our magnet. We were on the hunt to find a golf ball with like Bimini on it, but it was quite hilarious. It was not successful.